good news can often get overlooked or buried by the negative in our everyday lives. So let's change that. I'm Adriana.
And I'm Wyatt.
We're just two ordinary people without any special qualifications or anything, trying to navigate life. We invite you to join us as we share wholesome stories, news articles of hope, and ideas about how we can all make the world just a little bit brighter. We are uplifting positive stories. Welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Positive Stories. I'm excited for today's episode.
Yeah, now fall's in the air. Well,
Fall is in the
kind
air.
of, sort of. Every other day is kind of summer temperatures, and then it's cold again.
Up in Minnesota, our leaves are changing too.
Yes.
It's very, very pretty.
Yep,
It's been warm too, so it's been like the perfect fall weather. Super nice weather. Go outside, enjoy the fall colors. It's been awesome.
To our Minnesota listeners, the day after this episode launches, it's supposedly when it's supposed to be peak colors up the
Ooh, is
North
it?
Shore, up by Lutzen. So at least at the time of recording this. So Minnesota listeners, keep an eye out for that. Check it out if you
cool.
can.
Yeah, it's been a great fall. Awesome. Well, today's episode is all about being true to yourself and about not compromising what we like, how we are, just because we were worried what other people will think of us. And yeah, just kind of being true to ourselves. That's the general topic.
Going from knowing your worth to now
Being true to
true to
yourself,
yourself.
not being fake just because you're worried of what people will think of you. So that's the topic for today, and I'm excited. We've got some really good stories lined up. So we're going to go right off the bat with our first Reddit story, which comes from relationships. And this story says, as a title, "My fiance, 24 female, has no bridesmaids, and it's making her so upset she wants to call off the wedding. How can I, 25 male, help?"
That's a sad title already.
It is, yeah. So this story starts off a little sad, but it does have a happy update afterwards. And it also kind of starts off, you might question why it was picked for this topic. The update definitely is why I was like, oh, this is a good topic to talk about.
Okay,
So
so
here
it's
we
the
go.
update that
The
kind
update
of
is really
feeds
what-
into the theme.
Yeah, that's what made me decide to do this theme to
Okay.
begin with. So here we go. My fiance and I are recently engaged and have been together since we were 18. She's not the bridezilla type, but she has imagined a nice wedding. She's not very social and has no sisters/female cousins, and as a result, she has no bridesmaids. 0. I, on the other hand, have a solid group of guys to be groomsmen, and they're already talking bachelor party. My fiance won't have a bridal shower or bachelorette party or anyone to go dress shopping with, etc. It's really bringing her down, and she won't even talk about weddings. Once she said between sniffles, "Can't we just sign a paper at a courthouse?" But I know neither of us really want that. I have suggested having my sisters and cousins as bridesmaids, but they don't really know her well and likely wouldn't want to. How can I help her? TLDR, my fiance has no one to ask to be bridesmaids, and it's making her very upset. I want help.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that comes back to the age-old adult conundrum of having and maintaining friends and stuff. You know, it's hard, especially when you're an adult, you know.
Yep.
I mean, we definitely have friends, but in terms of like the friends that you have from childhood, at least for me, I only have a couple that are like still like that I can trace back to my younger years. And even then, not
Yeah.
like my childhood, more like high school, upper middle school, you know.
Same here,
but
yeah.
like when we film weddings and stuff, we're hearing like speeches from
People have
maid of
known
honors and
people
best man that have like
forever.
they're known them their entire life.
Well, the last week when we did, the best man knew the groom from the age of 3 on. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
We've heard that more than once too. Maybe not
Yeah.
specifically 3, but like that younger age.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty cool.
that's not something I can relate to, unfortunately.
really,
like,
but
we've
still.
faded away. The friends I had back then, we've since moved on, and
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think we're alone in that.
No.
You know, and I imagine that could be the case for her as well. I mean, she did have a lot of friends, but you know,
They
like
just
life
kinda drifted
happens,
apart.
and when you get older, sometimes it's hard to find new friends, you know, that fit our certain niches. You know, we lose our bravery a little bit to be our true authentic selves, and
Yep.
it's hard.
And part of the reason, and like I said, the update kind of goes into this as well, but part of the reason I picked this was because weddings are such a divisive thing when it comes to figuring out how to go about it, because some people have like a vision for their wedding and then
Yeah.
it doesn't line up with how other people in their life envision that wedding. You know, family members, friends might try to push you into doing something that you're maybe not comfortable with, or you just didn't envision it that way. And it's just such a hard line to ride because you don't want people to be upset with you. I mean, no one really likes having people upset with you, but also you need to be true to yourself because your wedding it's for you. It's
Yeah.
for you and your future spouse. Like that's who it's for.
But there are some people out there who really do believe that it's actually not for you, it's for your family. It can
Which I
be
think
weirdly
there
I don't
is a
agree with that. I don't
balance
agree with
to
that.
it,
But there
but
it can be weirdly political.
it can. It's
weird.
so divisive. And so that's why I thought this was kind of a good icebreaker to get into this topic. So going into the update, here is what they said. They said, did not expect to update this fast, did not expect to update at all, unless something miraculous happened, and it did. In short, I have the best friends in the world. I read through a ton of these comments, but not all, over 1,000, and decided to look for my fiance's box of wedding planning stuff because I had a suspicion. Inside the box were all of these magazine clippings of a big church wedding, flower ideas and stuff, and then I saw pictures of the dresses. They were all big, poofy, ornate things that didn't seem akin to my fiance's style at all, but they're similar to the dresses my sisters wore at their weddings. It all sort of clicked for me. My fiance probably doesn't want a church wedding or any of these fancy trimmings. She's trying to win my family's favor. The heck? I really should have noticed this earlier and gotten more involved, I know. My fiance flew home on Thursday to spend a few days with her dad, Father's Day weekend and all. I couldn't go because of work, so I was alone until this morning. So, real late at night, I called up my buddy Ravi, 26 male. Ravi's my best man. We've known each other since we were kids, split up when we went off to college, and reconnected 3 years ago. We moved to South Carolina so I could join the company he works for. I just opened up to Ravi. It was really late, but he listened to me anyway, about my worries about my fiance. He said that it was very likely that she was trying to curry favor with my family, but she probably wasn't going to admit it easily. He said he'd talk with her. I told him that he barely knows her. He said not to worry, and that he'd be around tomorrow evening. My fiance came home happy. She always is after seeing her dad, this morning. I went off to work without asking about the wedding, and she set to work on her writing. She's off for the summer. I got home early, and at like 5 p.m., Ravi came to my house with my other good friends, Carson, Andrew, and Tim, all 23 to 30 males. I know all these guys from various places, and we're all a solid group. Still, this was unexpected. Ravi came up to my fiance and said that the guys were taking her dress shopping. We were both freaked out as heck. I had no idea this was coming, and my fiance looked like she wanted to crawl into a hole and die. She whispered to me, "They won't like me," and I urged her to just go for it. Ravi reminded her that he has sisters, Carson's been divorced, and Andrew's had his fair share of girlfriends, so they know dresses. Plus, he has a lady friend that works at a small boutique where they'd try first. She still didn't want to go, and then he said something like, "Hey, you're marrying our best friend. Don't you think we should get to know you and make sure you're not a ghost or something?" He's not great with tact. But she chuckled a little bit at that and gave in. They were gone for a while and came back an hour ago. They didn't find a dress, but they looked around the stores for a while, and fiance found a style she liked, not the poofy ball gown style. They also all went out for ice cream, and when they walked in the door, she was joking and laughing with them all. I hadn't seen her so happy in a long time. It was amazing. Then we all sat down together, and Ravi asked her to talk about what's on her mind. I still don't know how they got her to open up. She whispered that she didn't really want the big church wedding, that she wanted to wait a little bit and plan a small ceremony for just the people we really care about. I was all for it. I told her not to worry about bridesmaids or anything, it could just be us. She said no, she wants her dad, the guys, and my family to be there. Andrew, a kick-butt guitar player, said he'd put together a band for us. He asked my fiance what her favorite song is, and he'd figure out an arrangement. This is the kind of question she usually dodges, but she blushed a little and actually told the truth. Panama by Van Halen, if anyone cares. Girl knows how to rock it out. This was the real sign that she's starting to trust them. I don't think anyone knows her favorite song except me and her dad, who bought her Van Halen CDs growing up. I told her I'd call my family and I'd tell them that the church wedding's off. If they make a big stink about it, I don't care. I have my bros and my beautiful future bride, and that's all the family I need. TLDR, church wedding is off, my friends are awesome, and the future looks bright so far.
That's a pretty good update. I will say I understand her reservations and surprise social interactions. I think it was like the
100%.
last podcast episode or a few episodes ago where we were talking about, it's kind of like the idea of like, can you just like call someone or do you need to
Is it a breach of etiquette if you call someone?
I would contest this could be a potential breach of etiquette, but unfortunately it worked out. Sometimes you can break the rules if they work out, but I can totally get the whole, I don't know. It's sad though that the reason that she was like, I don't know about this, is that she wasn't sure that they'd like her, or so that
Right.
they're not gonna like her.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a sad reason for no one. I can relate to if it's just like, oh, that's just a lot of social pressure out of nowhere. You know, I don't really know you guys. You don't really know me, but to have your go-to, but they're not gonna like me. That's
That
sad.
fear, yeah, that fear of not being liked. And even the part that really got me to want to actually put this on the podcast was when she talked about not wanting to say her favorite song to people because she was afraid that people would think it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because Van Halen, I guess, is not a typical band that most people would think like, oh, a girl would like that. Like, it's just not one of those ones that most people. And it's funny. Like metal in general, I feel like is one of those genres that girls sometimes are a little more like, I like metal, like heavy metal, like, you know what I mean? And I like metal. I think it's great, but everyone has their own taste, and sometimes they might be a little different than the norm for what people like, and that's okay. And so it's learning to be confident about what you like, even if it's a little weird and not mainstream, because chances are that might make you a little more unique and something new to talk about for somebody. Like, oh, really? Your favorite band is Van Halen? Oh my gosh, what's your favorite song? Like, it just gives more talking points. But I think we all have that fear of, oh, I like this and I might be a little weird for liking that, so maybe I should keep that a secret from people and not talk about it.
Well,
and that hurts us in trying to make friends because we're not being authentic then.
I mean, music's also just one of those. Well, I feel like it's supposed to be about weddings, but more so. But I feel like now we're going down the music rabbit hole. Because music, especially, is something that's so. One, it's personal because everyone's got different personalized tastes in it. But I feel like there's so much judgment around music, and like as point of view, like I'm gonna be fully transparent, and honest here, because this is something I'm usually pretty cagey about. Because when I working in news and stuff, I usually have traveled a lot with reporters and stuff, and most of the time, almost 99% of the time, I'm the one who's driving, and I never have any radio or music on, like almost ever, unless they put it on. And I totally let them do that. That's totally fine. And I'm sure that they all think I'm just a freak who doesn't listen to music or anything. No, I do listen to music. Like today, like I went up north for Fall Colors for photos and video, and the entire time I listened to music. But it's not music I think anyone would ever want to listen to. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead and out myself here. It's epic, like dramatic fantasy music. Like Lord of the Rings music, or music from various video games like Dragon Age or Mass Effect or Star Wars here and there. A lot of things by Hans Zimmer. Just anything epic that gets my creative gears going, and like I just kind of vibe on the road while listening to epic music. And that's something I keep I don't share that typically because not what people listen to, So again, all of the reporters that I've worked with probably think that I just don't listen to music, but I do. It's just
it's one of those things.
Music that I think they'd want to listen
to.
and I'm too scared to actually be like, hey, I'm going to actually play the music that. It's awesome. It's not sharing kind of music, except for with you and I, because we both like
it.
Epic music, like Baldur's Gate with Raphael's final act. For those who know,
but like for example, too, growing up, I used to really like listening to Enya, which is very not common for like high schoolers to like that a lot. And so whenever people ask like, what's your favorite music to listen to, I'd be like Carrie Underwood, which I do like Carrie Underwood. That's not a lie. But like really my favorite was Enya. And until later, much, much later, my friend was listening to Enya. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know who Enya is? Like most people don't even know who she is. And my friend was like, yeah, I love her stuff. And I was like, no way. How have I gone all these years being friends with you and had no clue that you were also an Enya fan? So it's also possible that there's people that you have in your life right now that could very well love the thing you're into. It's possible.
No,
and
it's
so,
true.
yeah. But again, going back into the wedding thing too,
because again, also with weddings, that everyone's got their own different view of weddings, and like we've now had the opportunity. Now we've filmed like 30 plus weddings, and I think we're both 30 now.
Yeah.
And now we've got a chance to see, we've seen the typical big church wedding and stuff, but we have seen a lot of couples try to like show their flair, show their uniqueness. We've done a couple micro ceremonies and stuff, and we've done a couple weddings now where they actually have done ceremony one day smaller, just a few people, and then later, either a couple days later or weeks later or months later, even do a big party reception that's totally different outside the norm, and like there's
and it goes over great. Like there might be a few people that might throw a stink about not having a traditional thing, but at the end of the day, if you go with what you're most excited for and what's authentic to you, you're going to remember it fondly because you're going to be like, I did what I wanted to do. You know, I don't have any regrets. So again, like, I'm not saying just like, see ya, tell your family and friends, and not giving any care to what they think and stuff. But I think it's important for us to not solely base decisions based on that. Maybe try to find if you're really worried about it, try to find a compromise in the middle, but don't just give up what you want just because you're afraid of what people are going to think.
Yeah. I would say you only get married once. Try as best you can to do without regrets. Obviously, there's money things and things you can't always control, but do what makes you would make you the most happy.
Yeah.
While also being respectful of other people's.
100%.
Just be respectful.
Yes.
You know, don't deliberately try to spite people.
Exactly. 100%.
Unless they really have it coming. Just kidding. That's not this podcast. That's a different podcast. No. It's not this show.
All right. So next story here. This comes from the Reddit thread Self. The title is, Things Are Changing, but I Like It. My whole life has definitely drastically changed. I literally make half of what I was making 2 years ago, but I love this job way more. I just started a boxing class, which is something I've wanted to do for years, and I already love my new gym. I've been doing so much self-care recently, and I feel so clean/soft. I was depressed and weighed 88 pounds in June. Now I'm 100 and climbing. I just couldn't be prouder of myself for overcoming all obstacles in front of me with a smile. It was so hard, and not every day was a good day, but I've been feeling genuine happiness more now than ever before. I'm just so thankful to see another day. And then comment that in the comment section that says, heck yeah, doing great, throw out a few jabs and uppercuts for me. Keep up the good work. Having a job/career you enjoy is far more important than the money sign next to it, as long as you can live within those means. Well done. It's starting a new hobby that they've really wanted to get into. And then, of course, the taking on a job because they're excited about it and not for the money. Which I also think, like, it's obviously important to make sure that you have a job that is paying what you need. And that's why I like the comment that was like, as long as you're able to live within those means, like, that's awesome. You know, and I think so often society is like, you want more, keep pushing and climbing that career ladder and stuff. And so sometimes there's that pressure. And so I love when there's stories like this of somebody that's like, I made a move that actually defied that expectation, but I'm happy because of it. Because I think that does happen too. And I think that some people might go, well, why would you take a job for less money? I don't understand.
Well, it could be I'm not sure if the detail was in there, but it could be a totally different career.
Well, it sounds like it was.
Okay.
So, so some people might not understand that and might be like, well, why would you do that? It doesn't make financial sense to do that. But if you're happier doing that, then I'm all for it. Like, why not? Yeah. Because I think that happened. I know several people in my life where that has been the case, where they were working, they were climbing that ladder, they were getting higher up, and then they just started getting overly stressed and were burning out, and it was starting to bleed into their other parts of their life where they were just not happy and they were stressed.
I mean, we've experienced that because, you know, you work for yourself with our own business and stuff, you know, like that was the transition that had to be made for the sake of our mental health and stuff. Right.
And so I've seen that happen with people, and then they end up taking maybe a pay cut, but going into a position that better suits them, that they're more happy doing, and that is less stressful. And then the rest of their life feels happier too, not just their job, because they have a lot more bandwidth. They have a lot more happiness because they're enjoying what they're doing. So I think that is something that, again, society is going to try to push you to keep climbing and to keep trying to make more money and more money, more money. But if it makes you happier to not, and that's being true to yourself.
Money's not the most important thing. And, no. You know, I feel like it's different, or at least it shouldn't be different. It's viewed differently for some reason. Like, you know, if you're in a toxic relationship versus like a toxic like career or job, you know, obviously people who are looking at the toxic relationship would be like, hey, you need to get out of that. Right. Out of that relationship. But then maybe not so much for a job. Right. Maybe they advise you to make some changes, but is this a different approach or mentality to it because it's career and it's like it's money, it's earnings, it's right. There's like an emotional detachment, even though those who are in the situation know it actually is very emotionally attached. It's true, right. But like when you're outside looking in, it's not. Yeah.
Exactly.
Everything's weird when it's talking about money, but
Right.
it's
100%.
not the most important thing. It's nice if you have it, but
But it's not the most important.
obviously we need it for basic necessities and stuff. And hopefully this, granted, like, we don't know what she was doing before. Maybe she was making like six figures before and is now making half of that's
We don't
50,
know.
you know, like
We
that's,
don't know. But
who knows?
it's just, and they felt the desire to put this out on social media. So obviously they're very excited about it and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
nice to see supportive comments and stuff to that, like that comment that we read. So that's awesome. And as we always kind of preface on this podcast, like this isn't advice necessarily of like what you should do in your life. This is
Quit
just
your job.
no,
Just kidding.
that's not what we're
No,
saying.
no.
We're just talking
Unless you
about
hate it,
stuff
then
and
consider
like
it.
the situation and just talking about our own thoughts and opinions and stuff. Every job is different. Every
Yeah.
financial situation is different. But I just thought it was interesting to talk about. All right. Our last Reddit story for today comes from the thread Wholesome Stories, and it is titled, My Family Asks Me Questions, and I Love It. The story says, one of my favorite things that my family does is ask me questions about the things that I love. For example, the other day we were all sitting in the living room watching TV, and some trailers for movies that were going to be playing over the next few days on TV showed up. I wasn't paying attention since I was on my phone, so I didn't see them. My dad got my attention and pointed towards the TV before asking me a bunch of questions about the Avengers and about the Marvel Universe. Me being a superhero fan, I instantly began to tell him everything I could to help answer his question. While I'm rambling on about superheroes, my mom and my dad are just smiling at me while they listen to me explain whatever comes to mind. My family might not love superheroes or podcasts or musicals like I do, but they love me, and even though they have no idea what I'm talking about, they always listen and try to follow along with whatever I'm going on about.
All right then. It's gonna get harder to explain though with Marvel and stuff because like it's
getting more and more
as we're in
complicated.
a movie like we're on now like 30 something
like
40.
that.
We may in the 40s. That's with the TV shows. I'm behind on TV shows.
Yeah, right?
That's I almost imagine like the nodding along would be like, okay, that's a lot, but I'm glad you're passionate about it, you
Yeah,
know, and
right.
like and it's cool that they're showing their interest. Again, it's probably a lot of over their
Yeah,
heads
100%.
a little
There's
bit,
a
but who knows?
multiverse, and there's different versions of the different heroes now. It's complicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I just love this story. That it was like a positive vent. I've seen like that as like a title for a lot of stories, positive vent, which I love. And it's just something that I feel like it shouldn't be as rare as it is, where we go out of our way to ask questions about something that we don't necessarily like ourselves. And it's a great way to help people to be true to themselves and to kind of push that out of them, to be like, what music do you like to listen to? And then if they mention one like in passing, oh, well, I like Disturbed, be like, oh, Disturbed, I've never heard of them before. Like, what kind of music do they do? Like, tell me about their songs, stuff like that, to get them to kind of feel comfortable to talk about that stuff and to not feel like they have to just talk about what you want to talk about. Because some people are more shy than others and aren't as forthcoming. So kind of trying to get that out of them.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And if someone is very extroverted and they are going on and talking, like rambling about all the stuff, and just try your best to follow. Even if it's going over your head, do your best to follow and try to make sure that you're not seeming like you're zoning out or,
Or disinterested.
Because the more we can do that with other people in our lives, the more it'll probably rebound back to us too. And then we can all be more authentic in our conversations and actually be true to ourselves more than we maybe already are being. So.
Well, I mean, it serves a few functions. One, it's, in showing them that you care,
Yep.
that you have an interest, not necessarily in the subject itself initially at least, but at least interested that you're interested. So there's that. And then also it's just opening you up to the potential of maybe you could like it. Maybe you could learn more about it, Like, admittedly, sorry, my family, I don't necessarily love hockey. I mean, I like it. I grew up with it.
Yeah.
I like it enough. It's not a passion of mine, but I always make a point to try to ask my dad follow-up questions about what the hockey games he's going to,
How the team is doing.
how the team is doing, how the UMD Bulldogs are doing, Like, plus there's a vested interest there just because of local connections. But I try to ask questions about those things, even though it's not necessarily my greatest passion by any means, but it's still like showing that interest. One, it shows, I hope it's showing that I care about the things they care about. But also, I'm then learning a little bit more about hockey and stuff. And I'm learning more about what's going on. And I'm kind of being informed of what's going on in terms of like refereeing with my sister and how the teams are doing and learning more about the games themselves. Because there's, even though I grew up in hockey, there's still occasional lapses in the terminology where I'm like, wait, what was that?
What
I
was
don't.
this? 100%.
And so, and maybe I could like get more interested in stuff, you know, like it's very possible.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, just a super sweet story. The news article for today is from WHDH.com, and it is titled 4-Year-Old Boy Becomes Honorary Trash Collector in Ashland with Help from Make-A-Wish, and the story is from Ashland, Massachusetts.
Oh, not Ashland, Wisconsin?
No, I thought that for a second when I first saw the title. I was like, wait a second, but no.
I didn't recognize that news organization, but...
No, I didn't either, but still. So the story is about the Make-A-Wish Foundation making a wish come true for a little 4-year-old boy named Alan. His dream was to be a trash collector. So they had him join a waste management team for a day, going around as an honorary trash collector and collecting people's trash for the day. Started off nice and bright and early in the morning, and so he was very excited for the whole trip, said the driver of the waste management team. And to quote the article, he got to dump some barrels and crush some garbage. Alan apparently has cystic fibrosis, which is a genetic disorder and also impacts his older brother. And so both of them got to go along for the ride for the trash collecting, which they were very excited about. He was given gear for the day to use, and he was just super, super excited. Escorted by local police and firefighters, he rode along with them. And yeah, apparently this effort was part of its goal to grant wishes for 150 children before Labor Day for the Make-A-Wish Foundations of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So, yeah.
Well, I hope they enjoy the experience and not
It sounds
like
like
a dream
he was
crusher.
really, really excited about it. So, yeah, according to his mom, to quote her, it says, "It has been fun and overwhelming." But yeah, the pictures were pretty cute too.
Like you don't hear many kids that are excited to be a garbage person, but hey, that's good for you. We need garbage people.
Exactly, yeah. And so being authentic to yourself, because again, I feel like it would be really easy in this situation for his parents to have been like, "Are you sure that's your wish? Like, you don't want to like, I don't know, go to be like us with a celebrity for the day, or you know what I mean?" And so instead to actually be like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Let that be a great wish," and be all on board with it, and let him experience that fully and be excited about it, because that's authentically what he was excited to do. And so I thought that was really, really sweet, and it looked like he was very happy from the pictures. So made my heart happy too. There is a video.
There is a video. So if you go to the article link in
Yes.
our episode description, I imagine that'd be a fun video.
Yes, I would imagine so as well. I just read the article. I just noticed that there's actually like a play symbol on it, so you can actually watch the video. But yeah, very, very sweet story. So definitely check that out. Like I said, I will put the link in the description for anybody that wants to watch that. And then our last article for today comes from goodmorningamerica.com, and it is titled, "Meet the 10-Year-Old Teaching Science on Social Media." So this little boy, 10-year-old boy, decided he wanted to try out putting science videos on YouTube, and then they went viral. He's only, like I said, he's only 10 years old. He's from Georgia. He's known as Sean the Science Kid. And yeah, apparently his mom was not expecting him to go as viral as he did. But he, for example, his first video he did was in April of 2024. And it featured him making breakfast and explaining the science behind why breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And now that video has over 1 million views.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. He loves how science explains the universe, and that he aspires to be a brain and heart surgeon when he grows up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Apparently, according to his mom, he's self-taught. He has taken upon himself to research stuff on his own at the library or online. So he's just doing it because he enjoys it, and it's going viral, and he's been viral ever since. Pretty cool.
I hate to tell you this, kid, we don't usually eat breakfast, unfortunately.
I
Don't be mad at us, but I'm sure you'll do great things.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's impressive, though. Dang.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then the last sentence of the article that I'm going to quote here, the mom said, "My message to other parents is that we paid attention to our kids because they start demonstrating these gifts at a very young age. So pay attention to them. As soon as you identify that this child of mine likes this, you as a parent do whatever you can to support the child to bring that nature and gift that child has." And that kind of goes along with a past episode we had where there was a woman whose son wasn't sure what to do for the talent show. He was like struggling with the talent to do for that, and he wanted to talk about all the Apple products, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to go over very well." And then started playing around with stuff that he was good at and found that he had a really good skill for DJing and helped him set up like an iPad to be able to DJ for an event. It was really, really cool stories. She
That was
found
an
that
example
talent.
of discovering yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, finding that talent that your kid has and or that thing that they really enjoy and that really sparks that joy in them and helping nurture that and encouraging them and not just like, oh, well, that's not going to make you a lot of money or, oh, that's not something that's mainstream cool. You know what I mean? And instead just inspiring it, which science is cool in general, but
Yeah.
you know, being able to actually encourage that in others and not just kids, but in the people around us too. So
I mean, that was one thing I had when growing up was I can't remember how old I was when I got my first one, but I was like, I don't know, like 9 or 10 maybe. I think 10 maybe. I got my first video camera, like the moment that, I think it wasn't long after I started talking about like wanting to make movies and stuff. As because, you know, you're a kid, you see movies, you want to make stuff like that. I was gifted a camera for Christmas, and then I got newer and better cameras and an editing software as it went on, and like, so that was one area specifically where my parents did a pretty good job at like, hey,
mine too.
he's really into wanting to make movies and stuff, and so here's a camera, go wild. And I
Yeah.
did. I went wild. They were awful, but
You know what?
we were kids with lightsabers in the woods and a camera and a camcorder. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, right? I'm pretty sure every major director out there has some movies like that in there somewhere, you know, on their tapes or whatever from back in the day. So, yeah. But yeah, encourage it in other people. So,
I'm curious. I talked about one area where I struggle to be my true self a little bit, and that's involving music and stuff, especially in the car. I'm curious if there's anything that you'd want to talk about that you feel like you struggle sometimes with being true to yourself.
that's a good question.
Obviously, with each other, we're pretty good at being true to ourselves. At least, I think we are.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
cool. Check.
Yeah, I think so.
Always check.
I mean, I feel like I've struggled with that in a lot of areas. I love Dungeons and Dragons, always have. And it was funny because that was something that I played a lot with my family as a kid. Like, I started playing at the age of 10. And
You got me into it.
I did. But that was something that I was pretty down low about. Whenever I was in school, I didn't really talk about it with people unless I was like, it was like a really good friend. And even then, I was pretty sparse on talking about it because I didn't want them to think I was weird. So I didn't really do that. And I just remember there was a kid in my class, and I knew that they really liked Dungeons and Dragons, but I had kept it so on the down low that I was not nerdy, even though I was super nerdy. I love Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, like all these things, but I was super like, oh no, I don't like those things. Like I'm not like that, which I don't know why I was so worried about that. A lot of people were like that, but I was super worried.
Well, school
that
can be
people would
rough,
think I was
especially
weird.
for girls.
Yeah,
I feel like
especially
when we were
middle
coming up, it
school.
was, you know, taboo,
Yeah.
especially for girls to like nerdy things. I like to hope that's changing now.
I think
haven't
it
been
is.
in school in a while,
It
so I don't
seems
know.
like it is, which I saw that in another Reddit post actually about how that's a great thing about this generation is they're a lot more loud and proud about things like nerdy things that they like, which is really, really cool. It just wasn't quite to that extent yet when I was in middle school and high school. It was getting there. And so I just remember that someone that I knew in class was sitting there and they were talking about Dungeons and Dragons and they made a comment like, oh, you wouldn't know what this is. It's for a game I play. And I'm like, Dungeons and Dragons. And they were like, what? You know what Dungeons and Dragons is? And I'm like, yes, I've been playing since I was 10. And that was like the first time I openly said that to anyone really. And they were like, well, come on over. We'll play. We're playing Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a DM. You should join our group. And I was like, okay, sure, great. And I made friends with them. Like, if I hadn't said that, I would have missed out on a group of friends that I had in high school. And so, yeah, that was something that I really struggled with. And that was the first time that I actually did that. And it worked out really well. So, yeah, I guess I wish I would have been a lot more authentic earlier because I think I would have had an easier time with my friends and just, yeah, having more fun with life. Because when you're more authentic to yourself, you're going to enjoy yourself more. So, yeah.
No, it's true.
But yeah. With that, we will end our episode for today. Thank you so much again for joining us. Next week's episode is all about counteracting negativity. And I know negative is in the title, but it's got some really, really, really cool stories that I think everyone will really enjoy. So I'm excited for that. If you have any positive stories, whether it be big, small, about you, about someone you know, feel free to send them to us at upliftingpositivestories@gmail.com and we may just share it here on our podcast, or you can share them on our Reddit thread, which is Uplift Positive Stories. So
Yeah, we'd love to hear your stories out there, you know.
we'd love that. It'd be awesome. So yeah. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. And we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.
And stay positive.